Italian art songs. Nascos en mio sol, stuff like that. And then she said,
For 11 seasons, Cheers was the place where everybody knew your name. It was a show about ordinary people, ordinary conversations, and the extraordinary bond that forms when you share a bar stool with the same faces night after night. Millions of viewers saw it as the perfect escape. But behind the warm smiles, iconic one-liners, and record-breaking success was a very different story. Cast members were quietly battling personal demons that threatened to derail production entirely. Behind-the-scenes tension simmered for years, fueled by addiction struggles, clashing egos, and incidents producers scrambled to keep out of the press. But one cast member's behavior went further than the rest, disruptive enough to leave everyone else stunned, frustrated, and at times furious. Who was this co-star? What exactly happened on set? And after everything, have they actually reconciled? This is the untold story of Cheers, the creation of Cheers. The seeds of Cheers were planted in the late 1970s when director James Burrows and writers Glenn and Les Charles were working together on the hit sitcom Taxi. After Taxi ended, their agent suggested the three stop working for others and create a show of their own. The three men had bonded over their shared struggles in the television industry, and they decided to take a risk on something new. The initial concept was inspired by the classic British comedy Fawlty Towers. The creators were drawn to the idea of setting a show in a hotel, but they quickly realized that all the interesting action was happening in the hotel bar. They began discussing the idea while sitting in an actual bar, and the question that came up was simple but profound. Why would anyone ever leave a place like that? The original concept for the show was set in a traditional hotel in Barstow, California, before the creators made a pivotal decision to shift the setting to a neighborhood sports bar in Boston, Massachusetts. Boston was chosen because it hadn't been used very much on television, and it had the kind of charm that would support an English-style pub. It was also a sports-crazy city, which fit perfectly with the character they were developing for the lead. To establish geographical authenticity, the production team chose the real-life Bull and Finch pub on Beacon Street in Boston's historic Beacon Hill neighborhood as the definitive model and exterior visual for the fictional bar. The lead character of Sam Malone was originally written as a retired, built-up American football player. However, when Ted Danson was cast, the creators rewrote the character's backstory to a former relief pitcher for the Boston Red Sox to better fit Danson's lean, athletic physique. Danson later admitted that it took him at least 2 years to feel like he truly understood the character because he was not a womanizer in real life and had to learn how to play that kind of arrogance. The chemistry auditions for the primary leads were exhaustive. Over 1,000 actors auditioned for the roles, which were eventually narrowed down to 3 specific pairings. Ted Danson was paired with Shelley Long, Fred Dryer was paired with Julia Duffy, and William Devane was paired with Lisa Eichhorn. The chemistry between Danson and Long was immediate and electric, and they were ultimately chosen to lead the series. 2 of the show's most beloved characters were discovered by accident. George Wendt was originally written as an unnamed background guy at the bar with a single line of throwaway dialogue. His deadpan delivery during the reading prompted the writers to flesh him out into the iconic, permanent character of Norm Peterson. John Ratzenberger originally auditioned for the role of Norm. When he realized he wouldn't get it, he asked the producers, right before leaving, if the show had a resident bar know-it-all. He improvised a brief character monologue on the spot, convincing the creators to invent the mailman character Cliff Clavin. Both actors would become integral parts of the show's success. The theme song, Where Everybody Knows Your Name, also had an unlikely origin. Songwriters Gary Portnoy and Judy Hart-Angelo were originally writing songs for a Broadway musical called Preppies. One of their songs, People Like Us, caught the attention of the Cheers producers, but the rights to the song were tied up in the musical. Portnoy and Hart-Angelo tried several times to write a new theme, but each attempt was rejected. Then Portnoy, recovering from a breakup, started playing a sad little tune on the piano that he could not get out of his head. He and Hart-Angelo wrote lyrics to match the melancholy melody and added a redemptive chorus about finding one place in the world where everybody knows your name. The song was an instant success and was nominated for an Emmy Award. Cheers premiered on NBC on September 30th, 1982. Out of 77 network television shows monitored by Nielsen that week, Cheers ranked nearly dead, last at 74th place. The ratings were so bad that the show seemed destined for cancellation. But NBC President Brandon Tartikoff famously refused to cancel the low-rated show despite intense network pressure. He cited its high quality, strong critical acclaim, and the network's internal need for sophisticated urban comedy. The theme song also helped keep the show alive, as radio airplay of the full-length version helped build an audience in cities where the record was being played. The show spent the majority of its 11-year run anchoring NBC's legendary Thursday night must-see TV lineup. It secured a spot in the Nielsen Top 10 ratings for 8 of its 11 seasons, reaching the coveted #1 spot overall during Season 9. The historic series finale on May 20th, 1993, drew an astounding 93 million viewers, solidifying it as the most-watched single television episode of the entire 1990s decade. Over its lifetime, the series was nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series at the Primetime Emmy Awards for all 11 seasons of its run, taking home a total of 28 Emmy wins from a staggering 117 nominations. But the journey from near cancellation to cultural phenomenon was not without its challenges. Behind the scenes, the cast and crew faced struggles that tested their relationships and nearly tore the show apart. The struggles that nearly derailed the show. The show was taped in front of a live studio audience at Paramount Studios, Stage 25. Because the writers aggressively performed on-the-spot script revisions based on audience laughter levels, filming sessions frequently stretched past midnight. The crew was subjected to immense physical exhaustion as they worked through the night to adjust to the changing rhythms of the audience. What should have been a standard sitcom taping turned into a marathon of rewrites and reshoots, leaving everyone involved drained and frustrated. To keep the multi-camera setup dynamic inside a single room, the bar set featured an engineered, hidden wall seam that could swing wide open. This allowed large camera dollies direct, uninhibited visual tracking into Sam Malone's back office. The design was innovative, but it also required meticulous coordination between the camera operators and the actors, who had to hit their marks perfectly to avoid being blocked by the moving walls. The technical precision demanded by the set added another layer of stress to an already demanding production schedule. One of the most heartbreaking struggles behind the scenes was the decline of Nicholas Colasanto, the beloved actor who portrayed the forgetful bartender Ernie Coach Pantuso. Colasanto suffered from severe progressive cardiomyopathy caused by long-term struggles with alcoholism. By Season 3, his cognitive decline had become so acute that he completely lost the ability to retain his script lines. The crew was forced to hide large cue cards across the set, including taping sheets of dialogue to the back of the bar taps. It was a desperate measure to keep the actor functional. The production deliberately wrote Coach's increasing forgetfulness directly into the show's comedic timing to mask the real-life medical deterioration from the studio audience. The audience laughed at Coach's confusion, unaware that the confusion was real. Colasanto passed away from a massive heart attack on February 12, 1985, at the age of 61, right before completing Season 3. The cast quietly kept a photo of him hanging behind the bar set for the rest of the show's run, a silent tribute to the man who had been the heart of the bar. Kelsey Grammer, who joined the cast as Dr. Fraser Crane, was also battling his own demons. During his peak years on Cheers, Grammer was struggling with severe, destabilizing substance abuse. He consumed massive quantities of illicit substances to cope with the intense psychological trauma stemming from the tragic deaths of his sister and father earlier in his life. The pain he carried was immense, and he self-medicated in ways that nearly destroyed his career. Grammer routinely arrived at the studio in highly compromised physical conditions. Cast and crew members often found him passed out in his dressing room or sleeping soundly on the floor of the set just minutes before the cameras rolled. Despite his severe substance impairments, the cast noted with a mixture of awe and frustration that Grammer could be shaken awake, instantly memorize his lines after a single glance at the script, and deliver a flawless, high-energy comedic performance on the first take. It was a testament to his raw talent, but it was also a sign of how much he was suffering. Ted Danson, who who played the smooth and confident Sam Malone, was hiding his own insecurities. Despite playing a thick-haired ladies' man, Danson suffered from premature male pattern baldness. He was forced to wear an intricately secured hairpiece throughout his entire tenure on the show. Danson underwent intensive, secret daily sessions with Hollywood hair technicians who carefully blended his natural remaining side hair with a custom toupee to maintain Sam Malone's youthful heartthrob image. The secret was kept from the public for years, but the stress of maintaining the illusion added to the pressures of the show. The struggles that plagued the cast and crew of Cheers were immense. They faced physical exhaustion, personal tragedies, and battles with addiction. But despite all of these challenges, they continued to deliver one of the greatest sitcoms in television history. However, the tensions between the cast members would eventually boil over, leading to clashes that threatened to tear the show apart. Kelsey Grammer versus Ted Danson. As the highest-billed, defining star of the ensemble cast, Ted Danson felt a strict professional obligation to keep production running on time and maintain standard set discipline. He was the face of the show, the one who set the tone for the rest of the cast. He had been there since the very first episode, and he understood the responsibility that came with being the lead. The show had nearly been canceled in its first season, and Danson had worked too hard to let anything threaten its success. When things went wrong, he felt responsible. And in the later seasons of Cheers, things were going very wrong. Grammer's compounding addictions caused him to frequently miss scheduled rehearsals or show up completely unprepared. This severely disrupted the filming schedules and forced the rest of the cast to wait for hours while producers scrambled to find a way to work around his absence. The delays were frustrating, the lack of accountability was infuriating, and the cast was running out of patience. Danson later reflected on that time, recalling how he tried to keep his anger in check, but the strain was becoming increasingly difficult to manage. Exhausted by the ongoing liability, the entire Cheers cast, alongside executive producers and series directors, staged a formal, structured intervention inside the studio. They gathered together to confront Grammer regarding his destructive substance abuse. Grammer later recalled that Danson was the one who delivered the message. It was not the first time Grammer had been confronted about his behavior, but this time it came from a place of genuine concern and frustration. Following the emotional group intervention, Danson personally walked up to Grammer's private dressing room to deliver a direct, unvarnished ultimatum. He had already told Grammer how much he loved him, but he had not yet told him how angry he was. Danson bluntly told Grammer that he was furious with him, that he was mad that sometimes Grammer did not show up ready to go, and that he felt the need to say it to be real. Danson wanted Grammer to understand that his behavior was not just affecting himself, it was affecting everyone around him. While Grammer quietly accepted the criticism on the surface, responding with a simple acknowledgement of respect for Danson's honesty, he was internally mired in a dark state of severe self-doubt and deep self-loathing. He had been drinking heavily and struggling with the trauma of his sister and father's deaths. Danson's anger felt like a profound personal rejection. Grammer later admitted that he had not been able to fully process Danson's words at the time because he was too far gone in his addiction, but the words stayed with him. When Cheers wrapped its final season in 1993, Danson immediately walked away from the production without ever formally clearing the air or resolving the lingering dressing room tension with Grammer. He later admitted that he had not completed that moment, and that was likely why he did not reach out to Grammer in the years that followed. The show was over, and Danson was ready to move on. Grammer was ready to move on too, but the unresolved conflict lingered between them. This unresolved emotional checkpoint caused both men to completely cease personal communication. They maintained a cold, silent distance from each other for exactly 30 years without ever engaging in an open argument. They saw each other occasionally at industry events, but they did not speak. They did not call. They did not text. The friendship that had once existed was gone, replaced by a quiet, unspoken understanding that they were no longer part of each other's lives. It was not until 2024, when Danson appeared on Grammer's podcast, that the two men finally addressed the tension that had separated them for decades. Danson apologized for his behavior during their Cheers days, acknowledging that he had not handled the situation as well as he could have. Grammer accepted the apology, and the two men reconciled. But the years of silence had taken their toll. They had missed decades of friendship because neither of them had been willing to confront the conflict head-on. The tension between Danson and Grammer was not the only behind-the-scenes conflict that plagued Cheers. The show's leading lady, Shelley Long, also had a reputation for disruptive behavior on set. Her departure from the show at the height of its popularity shocked fans and created a rift that would last for years. Shelley Long's disruptive on-set behavior. Shelley Long played Diane Chambers, the refined intellectual waitress who served as the romantic foil to Ted Danson's Sam Malone. Her character was essential to the show's early success, and her chemistry with Danson was one of the reasons Cheers eventually found its audience. But behind the scenes, Long's behavior was a source of constant friction. According to accounts from cast and crew members, Long was intensely focused on her craft to the point of obsession. She would spend hours analyzing her lines, questioning the motivations of her character, and arguing with writers about the direction of her storylines. While her dedication to the role was admirable, it often slowed down production and frustrated her co-stars, who just wanted to get through the day's work. Long firmly believed that the character of Diane Chambers was unique because she was the sole, defining intellectual voice of the show. Diane was designed to act as an essential highbrow contrast to the blue-collar bar patrons, and Long saw herself as the keeper of that narrative purpose. She took great pride in being the intellectual anchor of the series, and she defended that position fiercely. The tension escalated significantly when Kelsey Grammer joined the cast in Season 3 as Dr. Fraser Crane. Fraser was a highly articulate, elitist psychiatrist who brought a new level of intellectual dialogue to the show. Long, who had previously been the sole intellectual voice of the show, grew immediately territorial. She felt that Fraser's academic, upper-class dialogue completely cannibalized her character's specific narrative purpose. In her mind, Diane Chambers was supposed to be the refined, educated counterpoint to the blue-collar bar patrons. Fraser's presence threatened that dynamic. Grammer later wrote in his autobiography that Long frequently and openly complained to the writing room that he was systematically stealing her lines. She argued that his jokes and monologues rightfully belonged to Diane. According to Grammer's account, Shelley Long mounted a relentless behind-the-scenes campaign to get him kicked off the sitcom. He claimed that after every standard script read through, Long would approach the head writers and forcefully insist they remove every single major laugh, punchline, and joke assigned to Fraser Crane to diminish his performance. Grammer also alleged that the show's producers grew so entirely fatigued by Long's constant complaints and structural demands that they made a petty executive decision. They extended his initial brief 3-episode arc into a permanent, series regular role, specifically to annoy Long and push back against her creative overreach. According to this version of events, Grammer's presence on the show was prolonged not because of his talent, but because the producers wanted to spite his co-star. However, Cheers head writer Ken Levine publicly corrected Grammer's specific account. Levine stated that the decision to make Fraser Crane permanent had absolutely nothing to do with harming Shelley Long. He clarified that Grammer was promoted strictly because the writers recognized his extraordinary, captivating acting talent and brilliant ensemble chemistry. Levine argued that the show was fighting for its ratings life at the time and would never have kept a character they did not believe added value to the show. Long herself publicly rejected Grammer's written accusations of malice as being fundamentally wrong. She stated that she only ever offered a single piece of constructive, professional character input on set that Grammer deeply misinterpreted as personal hostility. She maintained that she had no desire to see him fired and that the rumors of their feud were grossly exaggerated. Despite these conflicting accounts, the tension between Long and Grammer was real. Long's departure from Cheers after Season 5 was framed as a career move, a desire to transition into film stardom. Many who worked on the show believed that the conflicts behind the scenes played a significant role in her decision to leave. The feuds and tensions on Cheers did not end with Shelley Long's departure. Other cast members had their own conflicts and reconciliations, and the stories behind those relationships continue to fascinate fans decades later. The show that was so beloved on screen was often a battlefield behind the cameras where creative differences, personal struggles, and professional jealousy created an atmosphere that was far from the warm, welcoming bar that audiences saw every week. The extended cast Feuds and Reconciliation, Assistant Director Thomas LaFaro and co-creator Glenn Charles have both verified that Long's rigid artistic process caused immense operational friction on set. According to their accounts, Long frequently stopped active filming sessions to engage in prolonged, exhaustive debates with directors over her character's motivations. She would question every line, every gesture, and every reaction. The conversations would drag on for hours, keeping the tired cast waiting while Long worked through her creative process. While her dedication to the role was genuine and admirable, her methods were exhausting for everyone else involved. The other actors would sit in their chairs, their makeup fading, their energy draining, waiting for permission to continue. Co-star Rhea Perlman, who played the sharp-tongued waitress Carla Tortelli, harbored intense, quiet resentment toward Long's slow, disruptive work style. Perlman had been on the show from the very beginning, and she had built her character around quick, snappy delivery. Long's methodical approach clashed with Perlman's instinctive style, and the tension between them was palpable. Perlman did not hide her frustration. She later explicitly acknowledged the severe behind-the-scenes tension in interviews, noting that the heavy, strained atmosphere on the set immediately lightened and became fun again the moment Kirstie Alley replaced Shelley Long in Season 6. The relief in her voice was unmistakable. Decades later, in a GQ profile, Perlman was asked about her relationship with Long. She completely shut down the questions. She told the interviewer that she could not go there and that she did not think it was worth it at that point in her life. The response was a clear indication that while the wounds had healed, they had not disappeared entirely. Perlman's silence was more revealing than any answer she could have given. Ted Danson publicly characterized his multi-year working relationship with Long as mimicking a highly dysfunctional, exhausted marriage. He admitted that while their on-camera romantic chemistry was flawless, her off-camera rigidness made filming incredibly difficult. In a 1987 interview with People magazine, Danson acknowledged that their relationship had included days when they were not happy with each other, but he maintained that their energy went into their work and that it paid off. He said that whatever happened between them on camera was a testament to their professionalism, but off camera, the strain was significant. Long herself told the magazine that terrible teasing went on in the relationship and outside the relationship, but that they both understood that the work was what mattered most. She recognized that their personal differences were secondary to the show's success, and she was willing to endure the tension for the sake of the performance. In 1987, at the absolute height of Cheers' global success, Long made a decision that stunned the producers and the public alike. She chose to walk away from the show the exact moment her 5-year contract expired. Her reasons were complex and deeply personal. She wanted to pursue a feature film career, and she felt that her storyline with Sam Malone had become repetitive. She also wanted to spend more time with her young daughter, who was growing up while she spent long hours on the set. The decision caught the producers completely off guard and triggered an immediate script rewrite emergency. They had to find a way to write Diane out of the show without destroying the chemistry that had made the series so successful. In late 2024, on the Modern Podcast Where Everybody Knows Your Name, hosted by Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson, Danson and Grammer finally sat down face-to-face to address their 30-year rift. The conversation was emotional and raw. Danson told Grammer that he had a memory of getting angry at him once and that the moment had stuck in both of their memories. He admitted that he felt like he had missed out on the last 30 years of Kelsey Grammer and that it was his bad, his doing. He apologized to Grammer for sitting back and not reaching out. Grammer accepted the apology gracefully, telling Danson that his love for him had always been as easy as the sunrise and that he too regretted their distance. The reconciliation was a long time coming, but both men were grateful that it had finally happened. Despite their intense 1980s rivalry, Grammer extended a professional olive branch to Shelley Long by inviting her to guest star as Diane Chambers on his highly successful spin-off series, Frasier. The episode was titled The Show Where Diane Comes Back, and it allowed both characters to achieve closure. Grammer has pointed to this collaborative filming week as the exact moment they made peace. He told the press that the episode was an opportunity for them to let go of the past and demonstrate that there were no more hard feelings. The episode was critically acclaimed, and both actors delivered performances that reminded audiences why their chemistry had been so electric in the first place. When Long notably skipped the Cheers cast reunion at the Emmy Awards, Grammer publicly defended her against clickbait press rumors. He confirmed that her absence was entirely due to logistical challenges and that no real-world malice remains between them today. The reunion that fans had hoped for did not happen, but Grammer made it clear that the decision was not driven by any lingering animosity. The feuds and reconciliations that define Cheers behind the cameras are a testament to the pressures of creating a television classic. The cast and crew worked long hours under intense scrutiny, and the creative differences that emerged were inevitable. But the love that the cast members had for each other ultimately outlasted the conflicts. The apologies that were exchanged decades later demonstrated that even the longest-held grudges could be resolved. The show that was once a battlefield became a place of healing, and the friendships that were forged in the heat of production endured for a lifetime. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click on the next video on your screen, like, and subscribe to our channel for more updates.